Hey everybody, I'm the NetherRealm Nobody, and let's take a look back at Mortal Kombat 3. Alrighty, so Mortal Kombat 3 basically through some kind of crazy loophole with like cosmic law, I guess. Sindel's who is Shao Kahn's queen, his wife. She's been dead for a while, but they're able to basically reincarnate her soul back on Earthrealm. And so once she kind of gets her memory back, I guess, and remembers who she is, the time's right where Shao Kahn can now legally step through the realms to reclaim his bride and thus merge the realms together. So, I guess I'll tell you first my experiences with this game personally before I go on to breaking down every aspect of it. So, right off the bat, I should say, I know I made a big deal about this season only being about Mortal Kombat 3 and not, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 or Mortal Kombat Trilogy or anything like that, just strictly Part 3. However, I've never played Part 3. Not once. I've only played Ultimate 3 and Trilogy. So, when this thing came out, this was what I believe to be the height of like the Mortal Kombat mania. I mean, you had the movie out, cartoons coming out around the corner, the game just dropped, and at this point, it was everywhere else. You had video games, you had video games, but you also had the toys. You had comic books. It was just a fucking phenomenon. Like, I don't think anybody really appreciates it. And I don't think we've had, as popular as Mortal Kombat has kind of gotten again, I don't think it's ever going to reach that level again. That saddens me. And I feel bad for, like, this generation of kids who have no idea just how awesome of an impact this had. And so, at this level, it's firing on all cylinders. And so, I remember it was my cousin, actually, because I had the first two. I never owned any beyond that in the original 2D versions, 2D libraries. And so, my cousin, though, he had Ultimate 3 and Trilogy. But I remember playing Ultimate 3 first with him. And, again, I was honestly, like, it got a lot of criticism at the time. I don't think that criticism was really there as much as it was. But at the time, everybody was mad that, it didn't have that Asian flair to it. It was very much set, like, in North America, set in America. But it had more, like, that Western civilization look to it, as opposed to, that Asian Oriental vibe. So everybody's upset about that. Honestly, I didn't even really notice it until I heard someone say that. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. I just thought it was just Mortal Kombat to me. Like, yeah, it was set in the streets, whatever. But at the same time, it didn't feel less Mortal Kombat to me. I thought it was, the lack of ninjas was another thing that everybody complains about. And again, I didn't put it together then. Like, and I guess because when I played Ultimate 3, they brought Scorpion and Reptile back. So I guess I never experienced a Mortal Kombat without ninjas. But I didn't feel it was a big deal. Yes, we had cybernetic ninjas, but of course that's different. You gotta throw the word cybernetic in there. And then of course, yes, Sub-Zero returned, but he was maskless. Hey, there he is right there, actually. So, people don't count that. And even Noob Saibot, who was a palette swap of the ninjas in Part 2, in this version, he's a palette swap of Kano. So, like, even him is, he's not even a ninja technically in this one. So, I mean, they did away with, all that. But again, I wasn't, heartbroken. And I remember, I don't think it was necessarily around 3 as much as when my cousin bought, maybe it was 3. So I think he had the strategy guide to it. And I just remember watching him play it. Because honestly, as the games progress, I got worse at them. Like, I have never been good at fighting games at all. And, like, we take turns. We would, be playing the campaign or the mission or whatever you want to call it. Like, I would maybe get a good victory and then lose. But, like, my cousin's the kind of guy he would just play through. Like, he's the kind of guy that if he actually went to the arcade, he probably would, like, throw 1 quarter in and he'd be good for fucking ever. Whereas I'm going through, like, $10 in quarters and just get my ass kicked the whole time. But in addition to watching him play this game, I was reading that strategy guide. And I've mentioned already in depth before with the previous 2 games just how much, like, I love this franchise just because of the lore, the story. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold going on here. Yes, we get sick down here in the Netherrealm as well. It's not just something exclusive to Earthrealm. Anyways, but no, I just love I love how deep the story goes, and I'll get into that as I go through the characters and everything. But just it had so much going for it, and the subplots were really good, and I don't know, it expanded so much, and I gotta say honestly, I'll say that till the end, I guess, but it just I was a big fan. Playing it, not so much. I still think 2 is probably my favorite as far as playing. But as far as story goes, yeah, I'll say 3 is probably my favorite right now. Like, storyline wise, I think it's great. I guess before we get into the actual crux of it, we'll talk about, them omitting a lot of these characters. I said it before in part 2, when I did my look back on it, and I'll say it again now. I was fine with them getting rid of these characters because you weren't doing anything with them. Now, I get it. You got to please the fan base, and it's always great having your favorites come back. But advance their storyline. Johnny Cage did nothing different from part 1 to part 2. He just came back. Nothing else. Off the game. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't like to see him go, but at the same time, it's like, well, what were you doing with him? You were doing nothing. Sorry. Raiden, same thing. Like, it's the same story. Oh, they're fighting us again. Got picked by selected warriors, and then we go on. Like, nothing was evolving with these guys. Reptile, I mean, I guess, I thought you could have probably done a little more with him because they did just finally give him storyline. So the fact that he was gone, but Scorpion, again, I mean, unless if you literally just had him and Sub-Zero team up in this one, and that would have been a good storyline, him and Sub-Zero versus the Cybernetic Initiative of the Lin Kuei, that could have been cool, but they didn't go that route. And honestly, from 1 and 2, Scorpion didn't evolve. It was just like, I killed Sub-Zero because I wanted revenge. He's back. I want to do it again. That was it. Now, that argument could also be made for Liu Kang and Kung Lao this time around. Or really, let's Liu Kang throughout. But nothing really changed with them other than just like, well, they're back at it. Got to stop them again. And that was pretty much it. So, I know the argument I'm making that, there's a reason those guys are gone. I can see why eventually they kill Liu Kang off and turn him into zombie Liu Kang. And then eventually reboot it, make him a fire god. Because there's not much you can do with him unless you're going, unless they actually try to do something with him. And Kung Lao got even less this time around. It was crazy. So yeah, but we did get the returns of Sonya Blade and Kano, which cool-ish. I'll get into each of them when I get to them, when I talk about characters. But then the only one that I'm kind of sad it did not bring back was Katana. She actually had room to tell me. Her story continues even further on now. And it's like, did you not see that potential? Now, I get it. Super Nintendo, they had limited space, so I get to try and cram a lot into this one. You had to make some sacrifices, but like I could have done without Kung Lao this time around and had Katana. I'll just say that. I think, honestly, the reveal that, Melina was actually not really her sister, but a clone, and then, Sindel's her mom and Shao Kahn's her stepdad. Like, that's some juicy shit. Throw that in the game. But we don't get any of that in this one. So, that's a little whatever. But beyond that, we'll get into it. We'll get there now. Storyline wise, let's get into the full storyline. I remember the storyline confusing me a lot when I was a kid because I kept thinking like, okay, why are they putting her in the other realm at all? It's almost like they knew they were going to fail in part 1. Because here's how I'm taking it. And if I'm wrong, correct me, please. Comment section, correct me. But here's how I always took it, was, okay, they're winning all these tournaments. They get 9 in a row. And, in another 50 years, they're going to do a 10th one. And I guess at that point is when Sindel must have died. So, at that point, the Shadow Priest, led by Shang Tsung, was Quan Chi a part of that too? Like, I know right now we don't know Quan Chi at all, but did they later say he was a part of that, or was that in the other timelines? I don't remember. But either way, Shang Tsung is able to basically take the soul of Sindel and have it be reborn on Earthrealm. And I was like, why are you just doing that world? And then it's like, well, yeah, because if it's in the Earthrealm, then Shao Kahn can legally pass through. Which, why can't he legally pass through and everyone else can? Like, seriously, we sent a shit ton of Tarkatans across. No big deal last time to destroy a village. But this time it's like, well, Big Dog can't. So I don't know. Doesn't matter. he's now legally able to cross over. And when he does, he's able to merge the realms together, thus, eliminating the need for an actual tournament. So I get that. But I was thinking, like, well, okay, that just means you knew you were going to fail, right? Like, you basically, because, you put the soul into a different vessel, and apparently you can't just cross over then, which would have been weird anyway, I guess, to claim your bride when she's, like, 3 weeks old. That baby right there is my wife. Give her, can't do that. Even weird for Mortal Kombat. But, yeah, I think I read it somewhere at one point, like, she had to regain her memory. Like, she had to remember who she was from that past life for it to fully connect. So I don't know how old she's supposed to be. I think the actress that played her at the time was like 22. And I'm okay with that. I don't know what the age gap is between Sindel and Shao Kahn. They don't go by Earthrealm rules, so whatever. I'm not one to judge. But anyway, she finally gets her memory back. And so it's time. But I was like, okay, so was it just a coincidence? So I don't know if it was a failsafe in case they lost it. But now I look at it from a different perspective of, well, maybe they were going to do an Outworld, but Shao Kahn's like, well, no, we'll have the 10th victory by then. So put her in Earthrealm. That way when she wakes up, she's in her new kingdom already. And that's the story I'm going with. That's what I like. That makes more sense to me. But anyway, so I remember as a kid that always threw me off, but that's kind of how I dealt with it now. It's like, okay, they were anticipating winning, and they want her to wake up in her new kingdom, so it makes sense. I make it make sense. Funny, I mentioned this in the MK10 recently that, it's funny how Shang Tsung is still alive. Like, the guy just keeps failing, and each time keeps getting more power. This time it makes more sense, though. Like, last time I wanted to hear how he weaseled his way out of, like, fucking up part 1 to get younger and more power and live for part 2. But the transition from 2 to 3 makes more sense for a couple reasons. One, yes, Shang Tsung lost again in Mortal Kombat 2, but so did Shao Kahn. So it's not like Shao Kahn could be like, God damn you for losing the same match I lost later that night. Shit. Yeah, I can't be mad at you now. That's how I look at that. But also, he brought this guy his wife back. Like, it worked. The spell worked. It was long-term booking, and it worked. And, you know what? It makes sense. He's not going to be like, thank you. I don't need you to know. He's like, clearly, this guy's great and powerful, and he's sticking around by your side during the potential collapse of your own empire after part 2. Give him rewards, I guess. Give him more power. Let him fight by your side again. So, that was that. So, once they cross the realms and the worlds start merging, Raiden becomes powerless because, again, now it's, I guess, the Outworld power is coming over. It's not just Earthrealm anymore. So, he can't fight. And, again, it kind of harkens back to, okay, I get technically he wasn't able to be in the tournaments for Part 1 and Part 2, but he was a playable character, and you could play him in the arcade tournament version. So they kind of deal with that shit. And I always, again, it was like, okay, he relinquished his Elder God status to compete in Part 1 and Part 2. Why did he do it in this one? It almost seems like you realize, like, oh shit, I don't have faith in my own abilities. I clearly couldn't win Part 1, Part 2. I can't do it again. But I feel like in this case, the Elder Gods probably stepped in and said, listen, you can't keep running to Earthrealm and fighting for him every time trouble arises. Like, you're a god. You have to stand back and just let shit play out. So you got a choice. I can make you mortal and send you back right now. You can fight alongside of him. Or you stay up here with us as a god and watch it play out. And so that's how, again, I filled in the gaps myself on that. And again, I don't know if any of this stuff actually said later on. Just know, like, from Mortal Kombat to Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, my shit's locked in. I know those games forwards and backwards. From, like, Deception to Armageddon, it's hazy. I know enough, but it's kind of hazy. But then after the first time jump, or, time switch, I know I read them through once, and that's it. So I kind of, if you say a character, I can be like, oh yeah, he's from this game or that game or whatever. That's about it. I know the meat, but not the potatoes of those games. And then the next time jump with Mortal Kombat 1, it's like I'm further lost. Again, I know some stuff. As I'm doing this series, I'm going to learn more. So just know, if I'm saying shit that's already been said later on, it is completely by coincidence. Like, I'm not jumping ahead and reading stuff on certain things. So if that's how it played out, awesome. But that's how I make it play out in my mind, was the Elder God basically gave him an ultimatum, and he took it. He's like, all right. And I feel like he did have faith in Liu Kang, but he does give out those words, that vision to everybody, the chosen few who are left behind. Because when Shao Kahn merges the realms, he brings along his armies, his extermination squad, and he sucks everyone's soul out. That's not a chosen one. And you gotta assume that's a massive, like 99% of the world's population, leaving just 1%, a handful left. And then with that handful, they're right along just killing everybody, which I believe that's how Johnny Cage dies. Again, I always said he died at in part 2, because to me that is much more theatrical for me. Like, I don't want to watch part 3 like Annihilation and have him get killed in the first 5 minutes. Fuck it. He dies in tournament, in my world. Anyways, but they're going through wiping out all of the chosen ones. And so only a handful are left, what we see. I also like to think that there's also children and people who are just too scared to fight, who hid out as well. And I would love to see that version too. I'm going to jump ahead for a second and go off on a tangent. I do this. You guys should know me at this point. So I apologize if this video, because these videos run long anyways. In Armageddon, you get to create your own character. And they give you a little bit of a bio you can fill out. You couldn't fill it out. Like, I was going to write myself a book, but I created my character. Like me. In that world. And I always imagine, like, I put myself age appropriate with the games. And so I was like, all right, so when Mortal Kombat 3 came out, it was 95, I would have been 10 years old. And if I'm going by canon, and I'm a chosen one, I would have been left on this planet with very few people. In fact, I'm from a small town, I guarantee it, no one else was a chosen one from my small town, so I'm in my town by myself. That's a good story, because then eventually, when everything's restored, you're like one of the few who knows what's going on, or at least has an idea, and you got the message from Raiden, even though you didn't follow through with it. That's an awesome story right there. And my character was growing up, but had a link now to the other world. And then when Armageddon rolls around, guess what? He comes to fight to get killed instantly, because creative characters didn't mean shit in Armageddon. It was just a little side thing. Nonetheless, in my world, in my canon, the Netherrealm Nobody. I didn't have that name, obviously. I had a character name. But still, that character, he was a part of the world. And he had a whole backstory. So, anyways, but yeah, that was kind of neat. Like, what happened to the other chosen ones who weren't massacred, but also didn't participate? I don't know. That's an idea for a movie right there, or a TV series or something. I would love to see that short film made right there. Permission to use it. Take it. Anybody wants to take it, do it good. Anyways, so he gives the message to these guys. They get together and they have a fight. Now, I know it's canonical. There was no tournament in this game. It was literally just fighting, just a war, battle, whatever. However, if you read the booklet, and I know the way it's worded, it can be taken both ways, and I get that. So don't think for a second I'm like recreating whatever. I mean, I am, but I'm not misinterpreting anything. But it said, basically paraphrasing, this battle has been drawn and now it must be decided in the most important Mortal Kombat. And so as a kid, I assumed it was a tournament. In fact, I just figured it was a tournament for many years until I read later down the road, well, there was no tournament in part 3. And I'm like, well, yeah, there was. You play it. That's what you play. Every game is played the same way. You just go through the tower or whatever. You move up the ranks. Even though you don't see a bracket like we do on my complete series, thumbs up, it's implied there's a tournament. So I'm just like, how's this not any different? Like, they would have exclusively said there's no tournament this time. It's just fight to the death. Fine, I'll buy it. But they never did say that. So I went on for years thinking there was a tournament in this one as well. Turns out there wasn't. But anyways, so again, that was just canon I made in my mind that there was a tournament, because it makes sense storyline wise. Khan's taking over, they're demolishing everything. But he knows how powerful Liu Kang and even the others are. Like, even though it's even exclusively said, Liu Kang is the most dangerous part of the Earthrealm faction, you gotta assume the other ones can do damage too. So even if they can't topple Shao Kahn, they could probably topple the extermination squad if they band together, which they do. And so I always kind of figured, again, filling in the gaps that were only there for me, I always assumed that Liu Kang and the others got together and then they just pitched it to Shao Kahn, listen, let's sell this in a winner take all Mortal Kombat. Like forget the 10 or the 10 victory gaps. We agreed to just do winner take all tournament the honorable way. Now, if you win, you don't have to kill all of us, but if you win, we'll succeed. Boom. Earthrealm's yours, and we won't fight you for it. We will walk away with honor. However, if we win, you fuckers are out of here. And again, like, why would Khan say no to that? Because he's thinking to himself, they're weakened. And he has a more powerful army. And then you got these cybernetic ninjas that show up out of nowhere. And even though they're, I guess, technically Earthrealm, they're targeting against Sub-Zero. So why would he think he couldn't win? That's always a villain's downfall, is their overconfidence. So it makes sense. So that's how I always did. Now I get it. For moving forward, it's not canonical, and there's no tournament here. I'm just saying, when you watch my series, the complete, and this channel, it is. So anyways, sorry, it's wintertime, I got dry skin. I don't have, like, scurvy or anything. Anyways, so, and I bathe regularly. Here in another realm, we got showers. So anyways, that was kind of that. So, tournament on, here we go. The big subplots here, when you get the screenshots early on, the text and everything, they just kind of remind you that Liu Kang and Kung Lao are, like, here to save it again, and that Liu Kang is the most dangerous, opponent they have. But that's really it. Like, there's no other storyline there. And I know that they will focus on this in later shows. I'm guessing the video games as well. But, like, you would have thought that Liu Kang, at this point, would be more of a reluctant hero. And doing it more just out of a sense of duty than passion. Because you got to be thinking in his mind, every time I beat you guys just keep coming back anyways. What's the fucking point? Like, I should just kill every one of you guys with a giant fireball and just fucking forget about it. And, again, we don't lean into that whatsoever. However, another big subplot was, we do get the return of Sonya Blade and Kano. And so, the storyline there is, they basically, Jax and Sonya try to warn the Special Forces and the U.S. government, like, hey, there's another realm, and these are bad guys who are actively trying to take us over. Fund us. Get us help. We could defeat them. We could at least investigate. And they're just having no part of it. Which is believable. I'm not going to lie. If I'm the chief of police or the Special Forces, and they come up with that story, I'm like, fuck off. Like, you guys are delusional, and I'm going to put you in the basement with, Mulder and Scully and leave you there if you don't shut up. So, it made sense. However, as we will find out, they take over and everyone gets their soul swiped anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And, of course, I'll get the Kano when I do characters, I guess. And then the biggest subplot, and to me, my favorite part of this game, is the Cyber Initiative. And I don't know if they called that actually in this game, or that's something that was coined later on, but the Lin Kuei, who are ninjas that probably live in a temple in the fucking mountains covered in blizzard like all the time, apparently also have money and access to technologies. Like, I don't know how. Are they hauling this shit up piece by piece? Are they having a helicopter show up? Like, how are they getting the parts up here? That's what I want to know. Anyways, they're getting the parts up here. And so they have their own, like, laboratory. And they decide they're going to start putting the souls of their warriors or ninjas inside of these cyborgs. And, of course, Sub-Zero's like, fuck that. They picked 4. They picked Cyrax, Sector, Smoke, and Sub-Zero. And Sub-Zero's the only one's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And guess what? It's kind of you're in and you're out. And the only way you're out is in a body bag. So they decide to turn against him and go after him. And that sets up, and that, to me, added so many layers to this. Like, I don't know, that made it so much more enjoyable to me. That they're just adding all this stuff. And like I said, I don't know, I just thought it was cool. So, on top of having to, not only defend Earthrealm and that whole thing, because he's still, he's got to have a mark on his back from Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn from last year. However, now, he's got to watch out for the Lin Kuei, who have now turned their back on him and sent warriors to kill him. So, really cool storyline. I really dig that. So, let's get into the actual characters of this game. We got a lot, so bear with me here. We're going to start things off with, we'll go with Cyrax. So, as I mentioned, the Lin Kuei Cybernetic Initiative, he was, he was number 2, actually. I forget they got numbers. There's like 99 or 90, yeah, 99, 72, 44. Of course, it's like 4T4, but you get it. LK 4T4. Anyways, I don't know who has what, but we get Cyrax, and he's actually, I always considered him my favorite of the cybernetic warriors. But he's like number 2. Like Sector's the first one, and then Cyrax. So it is kind of like, okay, I guess this dude's like kind of second. Even though he'll go on to have more of a story than Sector, but whatever. I think Cyrax is cooler. Originally, he was nicknamed Mustard. They were going to literally call Cyrax and Sector Mustard and Ketchup. Or that was like their prototype names or whatever, and then they went ahead and gave them, the cool name of Cyrax, which is awesome, by the way. Cyrax and Sector are cool fucking names. Like, they have like this, well, they're fucking like robotic names. It's funny that Sub-Zero and Smoke would have just remained Sub-Zero and Smoke. So it makes you think like their names were like Sector and Cyrax before they did the initiative. It's like, that's still kind of fucking cool. I think I read somewhere, like, one of them's obvious. All the cybernetic robots are based off, cyborgs are based off of Predator. But I guess also mixed with like Boba Fett as well. But the Predator, especially with Cyrax, is very noticeable. He's got the dreads, the net that shoots out that closes around you and tightens or whatever. Of course, the missiles and shit. But then also we get the one of their fatalities. I think it's Cyrax. He does the and it blows the world up, which is fucking awesome. So, anyways, definitely you can see the imprint there. Yeah, I was a big fan of Cyrax. I think he's a great character. Love what he adds to the thing. And I'll admit, I don't know what his backstory was. Of course, in this one, they don't provide anything. He's just another Lin Kuei warrior who's now a cyborg. But I know in the original timeline, we'll find out that, he will get left kind of behind in the dust, in the sands, if you will, which is actually one of the background, I believe, in Trilogy, because I remember seeing him, back there, stuck. Anyway, but he, will eventually get grabbed, I believe, by Special Forces, and he gets reprogrammed, but then he gets tossed off, and I think the vampire chick takes him over for a minute, and that's the whole thing, and he has a storied fucking career in Mortal Kombat, so kudos to him. But yeah, Cyrax, big thumbs up. Next, let's go to Liu Kang. Returning from the last game, he's been a mainstay in all 3 games so far, and not much change storyline wise, other than he has to fight back. I can think that in this time he rebuilt the temple, but all those people were very young, and it makes you wonder too, like how many Chosen One was there in that newly developed dojo and temple they rebuilt. Because isn't somebody in 4 Kai, I believe? Wasn't he one of the people from the Shaolin monks or whatever? So either way, that's, you gotta think there's a good handful. But again, Kung Lao and Liu Kang step forward, they take the responsibility onto themselves, and they take this thing head on. Again, not much changes with Liu Kang in this one. I mean, his look alters a little bit, but for the most part, still Liu Kang, still doing good. I know I kind of shit on his storyline a little bit earlier, but I do also feel like it's necessary. Because if he is the face of the franchise, even though you could get a little bit more emotional depth, it is what it is, and we're just happy to see him back, I guess. So, thumbs up. I can't go against Liu Kang on that one, so we'll keep it there. So now we'll move on to, let's go with Jax. We'll go Major Jax Briggs. So, he's given almost nothing to do except for just the intro of, hey, Outworld's here and they're going to take us over. No, they're not. Get back to work. And then it happens. And then that's pretty much it. Like, I don't know what he does beyond that. I know at some point, a lot of characters got like, I won't necessarily say retcons, but they were added stuff that they accomplished in different games. Like like in this one, we'll find out. I don't know if it's in the ending or not, but I know later on they talk about where Sonya Blade will like knock Kano off a rooftop, assuming he's dead, but of course he's not. But that was a big storyline in that one or whatever. But I don't know what Jax does per se in this one. I think honestly it was just, hey, Jax, you're here. But what gives him a step above the others is whereas everyone else has a very mild change to their attire, this dude got bionic arms. And dude, it's awesome. And it's a change for the best. In fact, he never loses them again. Like, those are his bionic arms. Like, I always love, like, in Annihilation, how, we first... Because I guess we first meet Jax in the original Mortal Kombat, but then in Annihilation, we see him off the operating table. Boom, my bionic arms, look at me. But at the end, he's like, I don't need them. The power's within myself. And it's like, no, motherfucker, your power's in your arms. Like, that's your power. embrace that. And the games did it right. They're like, yeah, no, that's his power. And it becomes so iconic for his character that it just, I don't know, it becomes a part of him forever. And while maybe his attire will change, those metal arms stay the same. And it's so cool. So, that's, big thumbs up to this guy for the boost. And I will say this. At the time, I didn't really care one way or another when it came to the Special Forces storyline. I just wasn't that big on it. I didn't really appreciate it until later on. Because again, it's laying the groundwork for so many other subplots. And even though the game was a flop, I always give kudos to the Special Forces game in theory. I think it was a great idea, just ridiculously horribly executed. But I will always stand by the attempt to make not just the magical world of Mortal Kombat, but the also grounded in reality portion of it as well. And I feel like you definitely need both of them. That's what makes it great, is regular people going up against the magical, supernatural elements of a different realm or whatever. And so anyways, as I look back, I'm glad they kind of added more, not a lot, but more to this Special Forces storyline, the mythos, if you will. So really dug that. So yeah, Jax, another character I really like. Moving on now to Shiva. We'll go Shiva. Shiva. I always have mixed emotions when it comes to Shiva. She's my least favorite. I know this will come off being sexist, and I don't really care, because she is the worst of the three Shokans. She just is. Now, I have gone on record saying that Kentaro is my favorite. Goro is number 2. Well, Shiva's dead last without even debate. Here's my problem with Shiva was when I first saw she was added to the game. And I was like, oh, you get to play as a Shokan. You get to play as a character with 4 arms. Awesome. Because that's going to be an advantage. And you're going to be able to just dominate other players with your power. And that's not the case at all. It reminds me a lot of like, I'm going to go off on another tangent. I apologize. But I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I just never was. Not a big fan. But the Star Wars video game Battlefront, I loved. I had it for PlayStation 2. I thought the game was fantastic. And basically what it was is you get to pick what side you're going to fight on. Rebels or Empire. Or in the prequels, the Clones and the Republic or whatever the fuck they're called. But anyways, you get to choose a side. But then you're just a faceless nobody. You can choose like what class you're in. But for the most part, you're nobody. You're just you as a stormtrooper or you as a random Wookiee. Not Chewbacca. Just a random Wookiee. And it was awesome. It was great. You got to run around and be a part of a massive fucking battle. And then what I thought made it cooler was you did have real players or real characters from the games. So if I'll stick with the OG Ridge Tridge. But in that one, you had Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader enter the battle. And thing is, they were out there. You couldn't play them. They weren't playable. They were just part of the battle. But, dude, you couldn't fuck with them. Like, literally, you get close enough to them, they just kill you. Instantly. There was no maybe to it. They fucked you up. The only way, and you couldn't shoot them either. You couldn't snipe from a distance because every time you shoot them, the bullets will ricochet. Sometimes they just hit you. So that was that. The only way you can kill Luke or Darth Vader in the game was you had to do with grenades. And either hope that A, they were close enough to a ledge where if you fell off you died, that you can blast them off that and kill them. Or, and I don't know what the magic number was, you just had to blow them up like 1 trillion times. Like it really was like, if you wanted to go after them, that became your whole game because you weren't doing anything else. You had to like sit there and just bomb them from a distance. Like 100 times probably. Like not even exaggerated. It was a long time, but it's a massive process. But it was cool because it was just like, that's what it would probably take to be a nobody and kill Luke or Vader. And then Battlefront 2 came out, and I was so pumped. The graphics looked incredible, but they're like, hey, you can play as some of your favorite movie characters. And at first I was like, oh, that's cool. I get to be Yoda? Awesome. I get to be powerful like Yoda. I get to be the one that walks around invincible and just fucking kill motherfuckers with no. You picked Yoda, you get hit with like 7 bullets, you're dead. And that's it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I thought being a special character meant you could just dominate everybody. And you're fucking Yoda. You should be able to just crush people. Like that. You should just be able to sit down in a recliner on the edge of the battlefield, just dead. You win. Nope, they made you mortal like everybody else. And that's what playing Shiva was like in this game. I picked her thinking, alright, I can just mash a few buttons, my life meter will take barely any damage, and I can just crush motherfuckers. No, you just got your ass handed to you. Like anybody else. And that to me is the biggest jip. It's like you're going to have a Shokan in here, and let's be real, females are smaller than males for the most part. So it made sense, like, okay, she's not as strong or big as Kentaro or Goro. She's a female. And it's not like she comes from a race of like, or she's not like a bloodline like royalty that clearly, if you're royalty, it means you are strong enough to outpower the other Shokans, so you're whatever. But she don't have that. She's not Queen Shiva or Princess Shiva. She's just fucking Shiva. But she had to have some kind of fight ability because A, she's representing Outworld in Mortal Kombat, but like, she was up for position of like the leader of the extermination squad, and she got bumped down to being Sindel's bodyguard, implying like she was good at fighting, so she should be higher. But again, politics, and she got bumped down. I don't know. I just know when I played Shiva, I was very disappointed, and I didn't play her that much. I thought having 4 arms would be awesome. It really didn't add nothing new to mechanics. Now I know later games they do a lot like with fighting styles and combos, like they make it where each fighter brings something different to the table, and picking a character does change your gameplay. But Mortal Kombat 3 didn't do any of that shit, so 4 arms meant dick. Storyline wise, like I said, you know, she was part of Khan's army, thought she was going to lead the extermination squad. They bring in Motaro. Turns out the Centaurs or Centaurians and the Shokans are natural enemies. Unfortunately, like they touch more on that, I feel like, in the cartoon and a little bit in Annihilation, but very little here other than just that sentence I just said to you guys. Like, that's it. We don't get a whole lot of, like, you know, and again, I never beat the game with Shiva. I don't know what her ending is. Who knows? Maybe it comes into play. But unfortunately, it's not here. So it's one, and she don't win, so it's not canonical, even if it does. So anyways, yeah, and they never really lean into it again, to my knowledge. Now, maybe in the newer games, they do touch on that. I hope they do. Again, awesome subplot, but they just didn't flesh it out in this game. But for me, overall, Shiva, kind of a thumbs down. I apologize. So moving on now, we got, let's go with Nightwolf. Nightwolf, the Native American character. Storyline-wise, because, I mean, really, storyline-wise, it's kind of cool, because he's almost like a shaman who kind of has more of a spiritual connection, knowing this shit, without Raiden having to kind of tell him. But that's kind of where his coolness ends for me. And he always kind of felt like a jobber in these early games. Now, I know in the later games, he'll come back almost as a wise elder mentor, kind of like a Raiden. Almost on the same spiritual plane at times, you know. And they even kind of hinted at with the Annihilation, because he was kind of the guy who's helping Liu, sort of, with his quest, even though it's kind of a joke in that movie. But, like, even in the game, he was just the computer guy. He was just the guy behind a desk with his pet wolf, and that was it. And in this game, again, they don't bring him back, to my knowledge, until like a much later game. I don't know if he comes back in Deadly Alliance or Deception. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think he comes back then. I know he comes back for Armageddon, because everybody came back for Armageddon. But either way, storyline-wise, this one, it was just, he was there. He was filling in the blanks is what he was doing. He just kind of filling out that roster, which is unfortunate. Again, he's a character I do like later on, but in this game, he's incidental to me. Again, you could have gave a little bit more to him. Maybe he's the one traveling around North America gathering up the chosen few. You know, maybe Raiden's kind of talking directly through him instead of everybody, and that could have been cool, but they don't go that route. I know that this character was facing, I do remember this even at the time, where people were very critical because of, you know, his portrayal of, like, Native Americans, but it's like, what do you want him to do? Just, like, walk around with, like, slacks and a tee? Like, no! He's channeling his ancestors, who fucking dress that way, assholes. Like, that's what they look like. Sorry. And he's channeling the warrior ancestors as he's going to enter this tournament. It's like saying you're upset that the ninjas are wearing, like, ninja gis and shit. It's like, well, that's stereotypical. Well, that's what they fucking wear, dipshit, so get over it. So I never found it offensive at all. And like everybody else in this country, I got like 1% of something in me. I don't know what tribe. I was told by like my grandfather that we did have like Indian blood in it. I'll say Indian. I don't give a fuck. We have Indian blood in us. So I had the right to say it. So there you go. But Nightwolf, wasn't a huge fan early on in this outing. But again, I like the character. I like what he kind of stood for. But he kind of fell flat for me in this go around. But again, later on, he's going to become more of a big deal. So, you know, we'll have to wait until then, I guess. Now we got Sindel, which you kind of already discussed her backstory. She's the evil queen, which I do like her in this one. Because I know later, especially in this timeline, she's going to be kind of conflicted and kind of go back to her. Because you'll find out, like, clearly it wasn't consensual that she got married to Khan. We don't know that here. Here, you know, as far as we know, she may have just betrayed her husband and said, fuck it, I'm going to fuck this guy. He's big, powerful. Definitely has that outward cock working for him. That's where my allegiance lies. It makes her evil, more evil, you know. I was always a big fan of Sindel. I thought, A, she looked cool. You know, the way her hair, you know, she had like that Lilith Munster, Bride of Frankenstein streak in her hair. I thought that was kind of cool. In fact, her original name was supposed to be the Bride at one point before they, you know, went with Sindel. She levitated, which I thought was cool. I love the scream. I love the hair whip, grab, pull, you know, gimmick. Thought that was really cool. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to like about Sindel. Thought she was a great addition to the, and she was very memorable. That's the thing. Despite what you think about the characters in this one, I feel like this did a great job, such as 1 and 2, of giving you very unique and different characters that were not just different, but memorable. You can have a roster full of different characters. Don't mean they're going to be memorable. I'm sorry, I'm not a big Tekken guy. I couldn't tell you like 3 characters from Tekken. I'm sure there's Tekken fans out there that I'm pissing off, and I'm sorry, but nothing stands out. They just look like generic Japanese dudes in karate outfits. That's it. Nothing too different. Street Fighter's different. They actually did have a diverse cast, and it looked very different. So they kind of succeeded there. But most fighting games were Dead or Alive. Another one. Couldn't tell you anybody from that. Killer Instinct. There's a skeleton. I remember the skeleton. Barbarians. Anybody remember Barbarians? I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry. Back to Mortal Kombat. So anyways, Miss Sindel, big thumbs up. Really dig her and her character. So, we'll move right along now to Kano. Coming back. Featured in this one. So, storyline is, at the end of part 2, you know, when Jax rescues Sonya, they capture Kano, but he breaks free. So, they have to escape back to Earthrealm. He stays behind in Outworld. Presumably recaptured again, but this time he throws a bargain towards Shao Kahn. Again, I don't go into too much details. I like to think he's just like, listen, you may have power and boo-boo, laser beams and shit and, you know, fucking other spells at your disposal, but America has guns and nukes. And I don't care how powerful you are, you set off an A-bomb in Outworld, that's going to annihilate everybody. Like, talk about real annihilation. And so, I always look at things, I guess like his thing was like, listen, you're going to need someone to really show you how to use these guns and these bombs and napalm and shit. I'm your guy. And Kano, he has that silver tongue. He knows how to weasel his way in and out of anything. And so, they agreed. Yes, and he becomes a general training everybody on Earthrealm, you know, technologies or whatever. Fucking brilliant. I love that storyline right there. And of course, you know, it doesn't turn out good for him. Eventually in this one, Sonya will presumably kill him, but, you know, he goes off a building or whatever. Of course, he doesn't die, and he'll rebuild himself back up and comes back. I don't think he comes back in part 4. Because wasn't that Jarek? Wasn't Jarek the only one from the Black Dragon in part 4? So maybe Deadly Alliance? I could be wrong. But either way, he'll come back. He will return. But Kano, awesome. Good seeing him. And I love his outfit. Like, I think the white attire is very iconic, but dude, black and red really suits him, and I really dig the way he looks in this one. But we also got Sonya Blade, and she's back, looking slightly different, but not enough that really stand out, because I think we still disassociate her with that green outfit from the first one. But she comes back, kind of same as Jax. Like, they come back, try to warn everybody, they don't follow through, and then she'll eventually kill Kano. Not really much else going on with her except for that. And I'll be honest with you, like in hindsight, I'm glad they brought her back because clearly, you know, she's a popular character and she is one of my favorite characters. I mean, she truly is. But at the same time, it's like she doesn't add much to this one more than Jax. Like Jax could have easily carried the load on this one. Really, she was just there to pretty much tie a bow to her capture in the first one. getting, saved in part 2, and then I guess bringing down Kano in the end. Which then it's like, well, why GD Jackson? You could have gave her bionic arms and made her, Wonder Woman or whatever, and then kept Jack. You didn't need both of them. That's all I'm saying. You could have done without one of them. But anyways, I remember when she came back, I wasn't that excited. I thought it was kind of neat. Like, oh, cool, she's back in this one. That was it. I didn't play as her that much, and yeah, it just kind of ended that. I don't know. Was what it was. It was what it was. But yeah, Lieutenant Sonya Blade came back as well. So now we move on. Let's go. Let's go Shang Tsung first. I'll go Shang Tsung, and then I'll do the funny one after that. Shang Tsung. Again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, brought back Sindel, comes back. Doesn't have much of an arc, but I feel like that storyline is enough to kind of justify him being here. But he's also just badass to play as, and the fact that he can still morph into all these different people, I don't know. Still a solid player to play as, still great. Storyline wise, I feel like he did a lot of heavy lifting in that opening credit text screens that he didn't really need anything else. I feel like Sonya needed more. Shang Tsung really doesn't. And still just powerful as fuck. He's still one of the last guys you run the face. He's still one of the top 3 bosses, if you will. He's still him, then Motaro, and then Shao Kahn, So you're always going to have that Shang Tsung, right there. Yeah. Can't say enough about him. His outfit don't alter too much from part 2, but still very solid. And I think his hair's a little bit more wild in this one, if I remember correctly. So I'll go with Shang Tsung from MK3. So anyway, yeah, Shang Tsung. Awesome. Big fan. So we'll go on now to Stryker. Stryker! Alright, let's talk about Cursed Stryker for a minute, shall we? Storyline-wise, basically what it is he's a cop. He's a beat cop, just working, as souls are being taken. He's like, what the fuck's going on? He's trying to, do riot control and shit. And then he finds himself basically abandoned in his city. And he learns he's one of the chosen one. And he must compete in Mortal Kombat, try to save Earthrealm. Probably one of those that probably should have ran away and hid, right? All right, now I'm not going to completely suck him off here, all right? I know that's kind of my MO. I do the unexpected. I will defend Stryker to a certain degree. Now, I do say, I think recent years have been a little kinder to Stryker. But man, from Mortal Kombat 3 until like 3 years ago, maybe pre-quarantine, maybe quarantine what did it. Everybody's in quarantine during COVID. They're just like, I'm going to play some Mortal Kombat. Hey, I like this Stryker guy. He's probably not immune to the coronavirus. I can relate to this guy now. I know what it's like to be outpowered by something bigger than you. I love Stryker now. I don't know what happened, but I have noticed that there's been a shift in the opinion of Stryker in recent years, but he's still pretty much considered just a jobber and a joke. And that's so unfortunate because what I liked about him was that he had no powers. He was an average guy that you could see yourself in. And granted, I'm not saying he should have went further than he did. Honestly, killing him off was probably the right choice, but man, the amount of hate he got after this is like Baraka was killed off, and no one gave shit about that, and they brought him back for Ultimate 3 and Trilogy and whatever. So it's like, but Stryker does not return until Armageddon, which is bullshit. Yeah, but he does sucker punch Melina, and that's gotta give him some points, right? Like that was pretty cool, right? So yeah, Stryker. Again, I read somewhere, I forget, I say I saw on his Wikipedia page, but basically what it was is, they kind of compared him to like the John McClane of Mortal Kombat. Again, kind of a, reluctant hero, wrong place, wrong time, but he's there to fight. But it doesn't turn out good for him and he dies. The thing is, the guy got more respect in the Defenders of the Realm cartoon than he does anywhere else. Like in that one, he's a vital part of the team. And he goes all 12 or 13 episodes, however many episodes they did. He's a part of that group. A respected part of that group. And that's it. I popped big. And I forget which movie it was. It was one of the Legends movies. But he came back in, I want to say Battle for the Realms. I don't think it was Snowblind. I think it was Battle for the Realms. But there's you got the Earthrealm armies fighting. And he's there. And I'm like, oh shit, Stryker. Yes. And then he's killed off. He gets the Johnny Cage annihilation treatment. Killed off almost as instantly as he showed up. Now that movie was pretty famous for killing off characters pretty quickly as well. And I was cool with it after that. But that initial depression Because I was like, yes, he's back. And he's going to get his right due. He's going to get that defender's treatment. And he doesn't. He gets killed instantly. So anyways, though, there it is. Stryker. I like him, but don't get it twisted. He deserves to be a jobber. I'm not trying to go beyond that. Because even my created character in Armageddon was a jobber. So me and Stryker get to hang out on the bench together on the sidelines as everyone else gets to fight and do cool shit. So anyways, there you have it, Stryker. All right, so now moving right along, let's go with Sector. Trying to keep all the characters in my head. There's so many this time. Sector. He's the other cybernetic warrior like Cyrax. Now, Cyrax had the laser or the laser trident or whatever, and he had like the net. Did he have a laser beam as well? I don't remember. But I know with Sector, he had the missile, and then he had like the like arm that grabs you and flings you around or whatever. I don't know why, and I can't really explain it. I was never big on Sector, and it's crazy because it's like they're both, but it's like it was mirrored by clearly Midway because they don't do much of Sector after this. Like to my knowledge, up until Armageddon, he may have been like a side character on ports, like Mortal Kombat Gold or Tournament Edition or whatever. But as far as like mainline games, like this is it, this is the game. I don't think he comes back until Armageddon. And I could be wrong. If I am, tell me below. Now, I know later on he gets kind of changed up and more storyline or whatever, but in this first one, not so much. Even though he is considered the first. Like, he's ranked 1. And don't say, like, rankings don't matter, it's just whatever. I disagree. Because I feel like Smoke and Sub-Zero would both be ranked last of the 4 because they failed to do their missions in the previous games. But I'll get to that in a second. So anyways, but yeah, so Sector wasn't big on. And the other thing I didn't like about him, and it goes with Stryker as well, I guess, with his grenades. Because with Sector, he's a missile. Now, I get, like, energy beams and even fireballs, because I see that in pro wrestling all the time. So I can see that maybe not having, having the impact to knock you on your ass, but not blow a hole through you. I get. But that's a missile. Like, a missile's gonna missile. I don't care if you're Liu goddamn Kang. If a missile hits you in the fucking chest, you're dead. So it's like, did they just equip these guys with dud missiles? Like, here's a bunch of missiles. Oh, he's gonna blow shit up. Like, nah, he's just gonna, knock the guy back. It's like riot gear, basically. It's like the rubber bullets in riot gear that pop. It's like, 4th of July, you get the poppers in the box, you get to throw them down, they pop. It's essentially what this is. I don't know. It's ridiculous. And I know, like, Curse Striker, it showed him with a gun, and he never used it. But it's like, I know in the later games he does, and it's like, you don't kill anybody with it, so even when you're fighting a human, you can be fighting Kano, and you're like, bam, 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 bam. Takes this much off his energy level. Can't have firearms or explosives. You can save that shit for the fatalities, and what Curse Striker did, he had the bomb that he attached it to the guy, and then he walks away, not that far, dude blows up. And I'm not sure exactly what Sector. Maybe he had the world exploding one. I don't remember. But either way, you save explosives for that. Not for regular combat. It makes no sense. I digress. Whatever. So anyway, Sector. I respect he's in there. I love that he's in there. Same time, he's probably ranked last when it comes to cyborgs. And I don't know much about Triborg, so I'm not counting Triborg just yet. I'll wait till I actually get to him. But as far as these first 3 cyborgs go, he's dead last to me. Cyrax, Smoke, Sector. That's the ranking for me. All right, so we're going to move now to I believe, the final playable character in Sub-Zero. I don't think I missed anybody. I'm pretty sure I hit them all. So, Sub-Zero. I already gave a story away in the beginning, so we'll just kind of pass all that. We know that he's the younger brother now of Sub-Zero after the ending in Part 2. So to me, and I explained this last time, but for people who didn't see my last video, I'll explain it here. I always assumed that whenever he had the mask on, it was the old Sub-Zero, and then without a mask was new Sub-Zero. Like, I didn't realize that Kuai Liang was Part 2 as well. I didn't realize that. But anyways, but here it's, they tell you right off the bat. Because I remember what even furthered my confusion was, in Trilogy, they have classic Sub-Zero with the mask, and then this Sub-Zero. So it's like, okay, that's classic Sub-Zero from 1 and 2. Like, again, as a kid, I didn't realize it because I never beat Part 2 with Sub-Zero, so I didn't know that was his ending or whatever. And this was before big internet like it is now. Like, now you pull over your phone, but, oh, yeah, look at that. B-Han was only in part 1, not part 2. But didn't know that then. So, but anyways, as I mentioned before, with the lack of ninjas in this one, I will say I didn't like the look of Sub-Zero initially. I didn't like this look. I liked the ninja look better. But it didn't bother me that he looked different, and I didn't take it as like a lack of ninja. I just like, oh, his character evolved or whatever. But now I like this character. I love the scar thing on his face. I thought it was like paint at first, but I know in the later games they actually do the scar or whatever. But like, I love that. I don't know, he just looks better without the mask, I think. He emotes more. His character's deepened in Defenders of the Realm, which we'll get to at a different time. But here, his story keeps progressing, and I love that. I love that more pressure is on him because, yeah, everyone else is trying to defend the Earth Realm. And I guess everyone else will eventually, potentially cross paths with these cybernetic robots. But these guys are literally just targeting, like, they're like Terminators, targeting him. Like, that's their mission, kill Sub-Zero. So he's got a lot on his plate. And again, I do think that we missed a boat on having the Scorpion come back to help him in this one. But again, I digress. So yeah, Sub-Zero, big thumbs up. Big fan of him. I love his fatality, his animality, the polar bear. I love that. And he also, I think he has the ice rain in this one too. So shoots up in the air, comes down on you. Fucking cool as shit. So yeah, Sub-Zero, big thumbs up. So that's I forgot how that is, 12, 14, fucking 16 characters? I don't know. That's all the playable characters. Now, the 2 secret characters. We'll start with Smoke. Smoke comes back from last year, and it's funny, they just roll the secret characters over, essentially, without Jade. So Smoke, but he becomes Cyborg Smoke this time around. And it's funny, because I know in, like, the Legends movie, that they do the Cybernetic Initiative, and then even the cartoon, I think, they do it as well. But they make it like he was forced, like he didn't want to become a cyborg. And so it's like his humanity is still in there somehow or whatever, and he's kind of a tweener, he's not really a good guy, not really a bad guy, somewhere in the middle. However, if you read the booklet, and I go by the booklet like it's the goddamn gospel, that's my New Testament, the book of Mortal Kombat, they don't mention that. They literally say like he's the third ninja, but the only difference is with him is while he was taking that transfer of soul going into the cyborg body, a power malfunction happens, a glitch in the system. Presumably from when Shao Kahn merges the realm, there's probably a big power outage. I can't imagine power's great in the goddamn mountains, but whatever. Power goes out and it stops. But he comes up cyborg-wise, and now you're wondering, oh shit, like, is he going to carry out the original mission and go after Sub-Zero? Is he going to go rogue? Nobody knows. And that's fucking awesome. Smoke's one of those guys who also, he never gets, like, main event status. He's always been, like, a mid-carder. Higher mid-card sometimes, with the special, secret enemy treatment. But still, mid-carder nonetheless. But he's always consistently working. He's like Reptile later on. Or, as I mentioned earlier, Cyrax. He's always got something going on, and I always love that for him. So, I love to see, like, a ninjas game. Kind of like Shaolin Monks, where it's like, we're going to show you what happened between part 1 and part 2. Do that with the ninjas, but this like have like anthology. And I can like, one portion of the game be like all about, the Lin Kuei, Cyrax, Smoke, Sector. You can leave Sub-Zero out since he already had his shot with mythologies, but you could do Kuai Liang, I guess. You could do that Sub-Zero, but either way, I would love to see that play out. And then of course you can introduce Rain, Ermac, and, Noob as well. But anyways, back to what I'm saying. But I always like Smoke. Now, with this game, he was only available if you knew the code, the combat code, to unlock him. So that was kind of how that would work out or whatever. It must have been Trilogy when I played him. I played against him because I don't think I would ever have known the code to unlock him in the third one. So it had to be Trilogy when I played. So I don't think I ever played actual, Smoke as a secret character. Either way, though, cool look. Again, like previously, he's a palette swap of Cyrax's Sector, except he's gray and he's got smoke emitting from him. I think he has a combination again of the weapons, if I'm not mistaken, of Cyrax and Smoke. Don't quote me on that, though. But anyways, cool character. And he's the only one that has the portal arena to fight in. Like everyone else has different arenas. You get to pick all the arenas, but his is the portal exclusive to him. And that now brings us to Noob Saibot. who again has no storyline right now at all. And the storyline wise goes currently, it's just like, why do you keep bringing this shadow guy back? Like, yeah, he looks cool, but he does nothing. And clearly he doesn't win the tournament, canonically. It's not like he beats Liu Kang and then like goes on to fight Shao Kahn and wins. You can't even pick him to play in either game. So it's like, he has no ending. So to me, he feels like a masked jobber. A strong masked jobber, but a jobber nonetheless. Remember the Halloween Havoc cage match? The Carnival of Horrors or Chamber of Horrors match? And like midway through, like these ghouls pop out like mummies and shit, but they just get their ass handed to them. That's Noob Saibot in these games right now. Now we all know that later on it's going to be revealed that, you know, he's got Bihan's soul. He's got the original Sub-Zero soul in him. And he's, you know, completely, you know, corrupted with evil. And he's working on being... But, like, we don't know that now. So it's literally just like, ha ha ha. Here's another ninja for you to fight. And he just put him down like he's a fucking... And they're tougher, clearly. But essentially, if you're going canonically, they get put down. And they move on to the next character. So, yeah. And I didn't know who Noob was until Trilogy. Because I never unlocked him. And he's not like he pops up or does the behind the tree thing. So I didn't know who Noob Saibot even was until Trilogy. Even though, I guess he's Annihilation. When the character morphs out, it's supposed to be Noob Saibot, but they don't say Noob Saibot. It's just, they made the credits. I didn't read the credits when I was a kid, so I didn't know. So even then he's treated like a jobber. It's just like, who gives a fuck? I would love to know. Like, I don't look it up. I should look it up, I guess, but you guys are easier. Let me know. Like, at what point did, you know, Ed and John decide, like, this guy was going to be Sub-Zero, or the original Sub-Zero? Like, was that always the plan? Or did that come into play later? Like, hey, you know what we could do with this Noob guy? We keep just jobbing out every goddamn tournament. We can bring him back and say, hey, he's actually the original Sub-Zero. I would love to know when that choice was made, so please drop that down below. Just like Smoke, you have to enter a code to get him on this one as well. So, Noob Saibot. Not as big on him as, you know, and as I mentioned previously, he is a silhouette of Kano. I don't know if he took Kano's movesets or not. I'm not really sure. I would almost assume he did, but again, I'd be lying if I said I knew 100%. So anyways, that's Noob Saibot. So now we're moving on now to the boss characters. First, the sub-boss, Motaro. Another just iconic looking character. And the thing is, like, it's kind of like he's the odd one out only because Kentaro was initially supposed to be a giant fucking tiger man. And then they decided, just make him Goro extra with tiger stripes. So he's Goro with tiger stripes. So Motaro kind of got left out of that, which is kind of unfortunate because, like, you should have had 3 different sub-bosses so he didn't just, like, set this precedent of Shokan's always ruling the sub-boss territory until Motaro comes around. However, the Centaur is fucking awesome. And like I mentioned before, I rarely played well in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Like, I could barely win. I think I faced Motaro once and just got my ass fucking handed to me. So, yeah, Motaro was tough. You know, he can he basically repels any projectiles and they come back at you to damage you. You know, he stampedes you, laser shooting out of his fucking tail. Dude's just ultimate badass, and he's awesome. Would love to see him get more flowers thrown his way. I feel like people will praise him for his look, but storyline-wise, he don't have shit. He don't come back until Armageddon. He don't even come back fully in Armageddon. He comes back as like, well, like a man. Like, he has a lower half of the horse, but like half of the horse. He's like a third centaur? Half? I don't know how you'd say that. But he only has 2 legs. He loses his back half in Armageddon for some reason. I don't know. I know the reason, like real reason, but storyline reason, I don't know if they were explained. Like, nope, we just, you know, it's a curse. They don't say. Again, not much storyline here except that he is the leader of the extermination squad. So you know he's got to be badass. And him and Shiva don't like each other because of the feud between the Centaurians and the Shokan. Which, again, we never explore beyond this, which really saddens me. But anyways, Motaro, awesome, iconic character. Really dig him. And our final boss, now we get to the last character, is Shao Kahn. Not much has changed look-wise, but dude, he looks so much tougher, like more intimidating this time around. I guess because he talks more, I love the storyline more, uh, crazier. You know, there's a sledgehammer this time, the fucking stone mallet or whatever. Like he's the ultimate badass in this one. So, Shao Kahn, awesome. Again, a lot of his storyline is setting it up. So that is, I mean, and again, it's solid. Again, they found the way. He finally got close enough to conquering Earthrealm, but he was just that close. His game ends where basically he gets his ass handed to him, and he turns into light, screams no, and then just explodes. But we know that don't kill you. Didn't kill him last time, didn't kill him this time, you know. So there you guys have it. Those are all the characters from the game. Again, I love Shao Kahn last time. I love him this time. I will always say this. I think Shang Tsung is my favorite character between the two. And I think he's a better character overall. But Shao Kahn is a better boss character. Like, to me, if you're like, you know, if you're making the ultimate Mortal Kombat game, you got to have one boss character, it's Shao Kahn. Just bar none. You know, basically, Liu Kang and Shang Tsung are the only two characters that has been in all three Mortal Kombats thus far. Like, everyone else has either died or disappeared or whatever. But, well, I guess Noob kind of counts, but just not right now. Like, we don't find out that Noob is Bi-Han until many games later. Deception, right? So we still got a little ways to go until Deception. But either way, yes, the Liu Kang and Shang Tsung are the two that's been, you know, all of them so far. You can kind of count Raiden, even though he's not a playable character, because technically he's part of the storyline. He's the one that's kind of guiding the Earthrealm, you know, defenders into the tournament, but he's not playable. And technically Katana's in it as well. She's in the ending for Liu Kang. But, you know, speaking of the ending for Liu Kang, and this does kind of miff me a little bit, because in the ending of Liu Kang, they talk about how, you know, Liu, you know, what kind of helps him overcome Shao Kahn at the end is the apparent death of Kung Lao. Well, I'm like, fine. I didn't realize Kung Lao died, but whatever. But then, it's not until, like, Mortal Kombat Gold, I think, or another, like, spin-off port, that they're just like, oh no, he was faking his death or whatever. It's like, but the next game, like, Deadly Alliance, he's back. And it's like, if you're just playing the main games, it's like he came back, like, from the dead. And it's like, I guess he wasn't dead. Why wouldn't he there protect, you know, Liu Kang or whatever? I don't know. It's just weird that, like, they don't even bring him back in part 4. They bring him back in Gold. And it's like, shouldn't be able to do that. Shouldn't be able to do that. I don't know. I don't like that. But it's like, the apparent death is like, well, how did he apparently die? They don't go into details in this one. And again, you're just assuming he's dead. If you're only playing the main games from the series and not the little spin-off ports or whatever, then it's like, he just comes back with no explanation in Deadly Alliance. And I can't remember what his bio was in Deadly Alliance. Maybe they do explain it in that. I don't remember. But what I do know is he's apparently dead at the end of this one. So, anyways, that's neither here nor there. So, alright, so we went through all the characters. Let's now touch on the stages. You know, it's funny because when I look at the stages in this game, I'm of two minds, because there's not one iconic stage, like, at all. But they all work for the game. Like, I don't hate any of the stages. I think they're all decent, but they don't have, like, the Deadpool or the original Pit or anything like that. It just, I don't know. We'll go through some of my favorites. I'm not going through all of them. I'll just go through some of my favorites. But, you know, I think the Graveyard is fun. Although I don't think the Graveyard was available on the Super Nintendo Mortal Kombat 3. I think that came over in Ultimate 3 and maybe Trilogy, or maybe just Trilogy. I don't remember what the thing was. I know some levels just didn't carry over, or some stages didn't carry over at all, from the arcade port to the home console or whatever. But anyways, Graveyard's cool. The Easter eggs there, they have all the developer, the main people's names on the tombstones. But we also see Cage, which I thought was weird. This says Cage and not Johnny Cage. You know, the megastar who you would think if he died in part 2, and this game takes place, like, in America. I think it's New York, right? Are we in New York or Washington, D.C.? We're in a major city, I know that. Either way, if that's his grave, I'm sorry, it would have more than just that on it, right? But whatever, it's a video game and that's their whatever. So anyways, that's, you know, Graveyard. Man, I guess without kind of going, I do like that they all kind of seem like they're connected, and I don't mean the way you're thinking just yet, but I do feel like the locations are getting closer to Shao Kahn's tower. You know, if you go from the subway to the street to the bank to the rooftop, you see Shao Kahn's tower in the background. It's like it is all connected. I think even the subway, and again, it makes sense when I say this in a second, but like you can see the entrance of the subway, you know, the stairs leading up to the street, and vice versa. You see where, you know, it comes out of. Now, with that said, what this game did that was kind of unique compared to previous games, and it didn't bring it back until much later, I think maybe Deception, was be able to fight in one level and then go to another one. So in this game, if you uppercut in the subway, you wind up in the street. In the bank, you wind up on a rooftop. Soul Chamber, maybe? Into the bell tower? Did I got that right? I could be wrong on that. But either way, you got 3 levels. And I think that's really cool. Different kind of, you know, it adds to the elements a little bit. I think that's kind of neat. Kind of changes something for a second. But I know in like the wrestling games I used to play, the Raw versus SmackDown series. I know they went to the 2K. They probably do the same thing in those as well. But with the Raw versus SmackDown series, I love that you can fight backstage and then you can go to other locations. And I believe it was Shut Your Mouth, or maybe Know Your Role. Whichever one part 2 was, or part 3, you can get on a subway and go to downtown WWE New York in the restaurant and go outside and fight like on a building. And there's like a helicopter. It got ridiculous. The point is, the different levels that all went into one match was insane. And I feel like you should have that in Mortal Kombat, especially at a level like this. Like, the island makes sense too. In fact, in all 3 of the games, it would work. Because I feel like you can make all these stages close enough to where it would make sense, you know? But anyways, I digress. I just thought that's cool, though. You can upgrade your guy. Apparently not enough to kill him, but with enough force to go through concrete and pavement and then wind up on the street above you, but whatever. So I guess I can get to... So we got, again, stage exclusives for certain people. I know Shao Kahn, the final battle is always on the Pit 3, which I'll get to that in a second. Mataro... Where's he at? Is that Soul Chamber? I don't remember where he's at. He's somewhere, though. Always the same level. And then exclusive was the portal to Smoke, and then Noob's Dorfit, is that how you pronounce that? That's his little area as well. But yeah, those were the levels right there, 2 exclusive levels. There's only 3 stage fatalities like last time in this one. We got, I'll go with my least favorite first. The bell tower. So you uppercut him or your opponent, and they go up, and then they smash through the floor, and they just keep smashing through floors. Like, nothing's like, this is like the worst architecture ever. Smashing through floors, you go through like 3 or 4 of them, and then boom, spikes. Which sounds cool. I just don't like the way they look. They look like swords, and they're all too close together. It's like, we can't do decent spikes like you did in the first one. I think the first pit, by far, is the best as far as spikes are played out. It's just, they were spaced out evenly. You had body parts attached to them already. Here, I don't know. It's like they kind of cleanly go through. I don't know. I wasn't as big on it. And I feel like, you know, why is there spikes at the bottom of a bell tower? I feel like the stage fatality should have been more like you uppercut them, they can fall through. Or, you know, bell towers usually have like that opening in the middle. So uppercut them through the opening, splat. But they're not dead, right? They're just like, and then boom, they chop the bell down, bell falls on top of them, smash. Would have been a better one, but hey. That's just me. Hindsight, I know. So I guess my second favorite of the fatalities would be, number 2 would go to the Pit 3, which I feel like the Pit 1 worked perfectly. You can change the background all you want. You can kind of alter the pit, the spikes. But I feel like with part 2, the concrete just fell flat. No pun intended for me. That's just boring. There's no, like, I don't know, to me, if I had to fall into one, I'd rather fall in the concrete. Like, it's gonna kill you either way, but I feel like that's just going instant bam, you're just boom. But the idea of like being impaled on the way down and like feeling maybe a spike go through your arm before your head goes through or something, just, it fucking sounds brutal. Now here, they got like saw blades that are spinning, which seems like it's more extreme, but at the same time, just like, what's fucking powering that? Like, is it the souls? Is it the souls we're taking out of people? That's what I think the main power source is. running the Outworld Earthrealm hybrid world is the souls, right? Because while like there's a soul chamber, you see them going up, like they're powering something. Why aren't you collecting souls? It makes no sense either way. Because I also like too, like at the end when like Liu Kang restores order and everything, like not everybody comes back. I can think maybe like I don't know, a few thousand just doesn't come back at all, and it's just like not explained. No one has any recollection of what's going on except for the survivors who actually were chosen or whatever. But then you just have like random people just, what happened? Where's cousin Jimmy at? Holy shit, where's Jimmy? Jimmy's gone. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting off on weird tangents here. Anyway, so back. So the spikes. Again, cool visual, I guess, when they hit it, but just like, I don't know. I think because it has that cartoon, like when it hit it, they just turn into bone and meat and just goes everywhere. It just looks kind of cheap. I like the old spikes of getting impaled and sinking through them. That to me, awesome. But whatever. But the best fatality, my number one fatality scene or stage is the subway. So you give them the subway, and of course, without going through the ceiling into the streets, you uppercut them and they go boom into the tracks, and then the subway comes by and flattens them. It still makes them explode goofy with all the extra bones and meat and everything, but it works and I'm cool with it. So yeah, that's probably my favorite stage fatality of this level. Again, I always say maybe that's the one if you had to like do a greatest hits of stages. You got to have one represent Mortal Kombat 3. For me, it would be that one. Although the rooftop looks cool. I do like the image of Khan's tower with the green fucking soul beam coming out of it, whatever. That looks really cool. So maybe that one. I may go that one. I don't know. But Subway just has that Subway. And we get another Tobias and Boone fucking Easter egg. That's the street you're going to or whatever. Did anybody ever... I'm sorry, camera. Does anybody ever like look at that and go, hey, you know what? Spelled backwards, that masked ninja guy that sucks, that keeps losing. Anybody? No? Okay. So anyways, but yeah. So there you go. That's the stages. So let's go to... is there anything different about this game? Upgrades or whatever? In the realm of fatalities, they introduced Mercy for the first time. And so in that, what you can do is once you defeat your opponent, you can give them Mercy, which will, you do the command, and it will pop up their meter, like a little bit. Just, you're just giving Mercy to be able to fight again, which I always thought that would be, I've rarely seen it. I've yet to see a video where anybody from Mercy comes back and wins. Because it seems like that doesn't happen. You give Mercy to just destroy it. But cool little concept. However, the Mercy is the only way you can unlock the next fatality that's special on this one. And that is Animality. And where like you turn into an animal and attack. So you gotta do the Mercy to unlock that one. Returning, of course, is the Babality and Friendship from the previous game. Of course, also the fatalities as well. Easy for me to say, sorry. Anyway, so they update all that stuff, which I'm cool with all those. They never bother me. I'm down. I think Animal's cool. They would get better as the games go on, because here they kind of look clunky and goofy because they have like this weird glow, and it's Super Nintendo graphics, so you can forgive it a little bit. They will get better as the games go on. But yeah, nothing really stands out on any of this to me, fatality wise. I feel like the best ones were the earlier ones. Onto gameplay, the biggest thing they added was the run feature, which, you know what? I left out a character. Son of a bitch. I left out Cabal. Because when you think about running, you think about Cabal. I left out Cabal and Kung Lao. My God, I am slipping here. You guys probably comment on that too. You're probably commenting right now, hey, you left out Cabal and Kung Lao. Let me briefly run through them real quick. We already talked about Kung Lao. He don't have shit going on this round at all. He's basically Liu Kang's, he's the Robin to Liu Kang's Batman in this one. He's there. And apparently he dies at the end, as I did cover that. So yeah, Kung Lao. That's it for him. But again, he has an iconic look. I'm glad he's back. Again, he's an iconic Mortal Kombat character. And they'll get more personality as the game goes on. I believe, later on they start talking about how he almost resents the fact of being considered the second fiddle between him and Liu Kang, And I do like that element to, they should definitely play up on that. Again, I don't know. I haven't seen those play out yet, but, that's what I read. I don't know if that's this timeline or a later timeline, but definitely cool to add that element to it. So let's go to Cabal, because that's what I really want to talk about as well, that kind of, whatever. Cabal, the so his storyline is this. We don't know much about him at all in this game. And we do get more background as the games progress. But in this first one, all you know about him is he's actually a survivor of the extermination squads. Like, they fucked him up, but they couldn't kill him. Like, you know, they left him for dead or whatever. Or they thought he was dead. And either way, he ends up rebuilding, getting himself, you know, built back up. And he gets like a respirator to help him breathe. And then he has his two fucking Reaper sword things. How do you call those? Fucking hooks. Hook swords. And he's coming for revenge. He's gonna fuck him up for trying to kill him. And that's it. Like, he doesn't really pledge allegiance to Earthrealm. His is very much like the cybernetic robots. He's just after revenge, going after everybody else. And so anyways, as he's going after them, a lot of questions about my mind. Because, first of all, when I saw the name Cabal, I popped. Only because, if anybody's seen Nightbreed, I'm a big Nightbreed fan. Fuck the director's cut. I like the original Nightbreed. It wasn't confusing to me. You guys are idiots. Anyways, the character they give Boone at the end, oh, his name's Boone too. That's fucking even better. They didn't even put that together. Anyways, the name they give him at the end, the hero, you know, who's leading these monsters out of Midian, going to find a new area, they call him Cabal. So when they call, you know, when I found a character named Cabal, I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I was pumped. And he, you know, his look design was based off of the Tusken Raiders from Star Wars. Yeah, I care about that. He does look cool. Like, I do like the look. I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome right there. And I loved his weapons. And he's like the fastest character in the game. And, you know, he has, you know, when you think of the running, you think of him or whatever. But that's all he has. But again, I didn't play him that much. Because he had the look, he had the name, but then that's it for me. Storyline wise, it left a lot of questions. So here's what I'm thinking. I would love to know what the timeline is. Like, how much time between the extermination squad showing up, the merging of Earthrealm and Outworld, to the tournament? Because in my mind, this is like over a week period of time. Like 6 to 7 days. Like, I'm not even trying to follow the Annihilation rules of like, it takes, you know, 7 days, it's going to be completely merged or whatever. I'm just saying, like, when I'm playing everything out, reading the storyline, it feels like, okay, once they start merging, everybody gets together. This is what we must do. Go into battle. It's not like there's months of time between that, right? So here's my question. They find Cabal. Let's say Hong Kong. I feel like a lot of the Black Dragon shit takes place in Hong Kong. We will find out later. We don't know here, but find out later that Cabal was a former member of the Black Dragon. Or maybe he's still a member. I don't know. But either way, he goes after Kano at one point. They have a bit of a butting of heads. But either way, he was Black Dragon affiliated. So we'll just say he's in Hong Kong and he gets wiped out, right? Like, they fuck his world up. But they don't kill him. They throw him behind the dumpster. They throw him in the water. And they're like, he's dead. And then he crawls out. He's so fucked up, he needs a respirator. I don't buy this guy knows how to do his own, like, medical repairs. The Earthrealm has been stripped of everybody who is not the Chosen One. So unless if he found one guy in Hong Kong who just happened to be like a doctor who's like, here's a respirator. What the fuck? And then even if it's a month. Let's just say it has been 1, 2. Fuck it. Let's give him 6 months. If they left him for dead, I'm imagining it takes a long recuperation period. Like, am I wrong? Right? Like, I'm not wrong in that. A big recuperation period of, oh shit, I gotta rebuild and get strong. You could argue that somehow just being a chosen one is enough to kind of help you heal a little bit quicker. Fine. I'll buy it a little bit. Maybe they retcon it later. I don't know. Maybe there's a storyline where it finds out Cabal was actually part of the gods, and turns out he's a nephew of Zeus or some shit. I don't know. What I do know is right now we don't know any of that shit, and he's just human, and somehow, in the span of a week, motherfucker gets a respirator, gets new duds, gets his weapons, and he's just like, I'm ready to fight. I'm combat ready now. I don't know. He's another character I just didn't really get into as much. I know his storyline will continue and it'll evolve or whatever, and I can't wait for that. And it's cool to get his entrance here, but at the same time, it's like, see, at least in Defenders of the Realm, he actually has an episode dedicated to him, and he has a bigger part. And he's actually, he's more of a good guy. I know later on he'll go more bad or whatever, but in this one, he's a good guy. And I do kind of play the fact that a lot of time has passed from part 3 to the defenders of the realm. Like, they've been fighting against the forces of evil for a while now. So that makes sense to me. But in this game, I'm sorry, we're not going that route. The battle happens, I would assume, almost immediately. But either way, Cabal shows up, and that's him right there. And again, I'm not super huge on it, so it is what it is. He's just not one of my favorites, but that's just me. All right, back to our regularly scheduled whatever. Sorry, I got thrown off there. That's two big characters, dude. I left them both out. Anyways, I'm gonna re-edit that anyways and edit this out. I got to. I feel like that's going to be very weird. I don't want to listen to you guys fucking bitch in the comments. So anyways, back to the feature. So they added the run feature. They did a more of a combo feature, so you can do better combos and kind of juggle your opponents in the air or whatever. Which, I don't know, that's fine, I guess. I was never big on that. But yeah, I got my ass kicked all the time, so that's probably why I don't like it as much. And then they added the killer combo code in the thing, so you can add the code and do things. I don't know if the code ever really did much outside of unlock the characters. I think they were just using goofy stuff, like you have a big head or you're small, or maybe they did give you, like, break your opponent's health in half, or I don't know. I don't know what the list of combat codes were, but yeah, that was a big new feature right there. Am I missing anything? I feel like that's probably the brunt of it. So my final thoughts on Mortal Kombat 3, as I stated earlier, I'm fine without the revisions of Ultimate 3 and Trilogy. Which I know Trilogy shouldn't count as much, because I know that was a game just to kind of bring all three games onto one disc. So I get that. But they still added new characters, and like Ermac is added, I believe, in Ultimate 3. And I didn't include him on this because to me it's like, well, that's not canon to me. Like, you'll come back whenever you come back in the other games. I don't know when he comes back. Does he come back in 4? Is it Deadly Alliance? I don't know. Doesn't matter. He'll come back later. So for what it is, I like 3. It's good. I think it's a different taste. I know they go right back to like the Oriental Asian kind of flow and vibe of everything in part 4, and aside from special forces, I guess, but even mythologies and Shaolin monks will take that route. But I didn't mind this kind of Americanized, gritty. I don't want to completely say futuristic, because it really wasn't futuristic. It was just, like I said, it was just cyborgs. All the settings were pretty much just America. So I don't know. I didn't mind the North American vibe to this. Yeah, I was cool with it. Like I said, gameplay wise, I guess I'll rank it 2, maybe. Although, see, I have more fond memories of 2 and 1. But storyline wise, it's solid number 1. But I guess as a game overall, if I had to rank the games, and I have been ranking them, I'll make it 2. So I'll go Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 1. That's the level I'm going in right now. I'll write that down so I don't forget it. So there you guys have it. That is a look back at Mortal Kombat 3. I think we covered everything from Easter eggs, the stories behind the characters themselves, the stages, fatalities, features. I got anything else? My personal experiences with it, my personal thoughts. That's it. So guys, that is Mortal Kombat 3. I want to thank you guys for sticking around this long. I know it's been a long one. I apologize for the length of this video. But you just can't break down a game properly without doing it justice like this. So that's all I got. Guys, thank you for watching, and till next time.